Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Yesterday was exactly what I thought it would be, but I got a couple things I got to say, right? First of all, we've talked on this podcast for 3 years about the shitty injury luck of the 49ers. I have never ever seen anything like this in my entire life. They went through 4 fucking quarterbacks this year. I've never seen it. Maybe it happened and I had no idea that it happened. I don't know. I've never seen them go down consecutively in order like I saw this year. And to have 2 of them go down in the championship game, it's remarkable, man. It's incredibly remarkable. And I hate it for 49ers fans. I hate it for Kyle Shanahan. 3 out of the last 4 years, they were in the NFC Championship. One of those should have turned into a Super Bowl ring. Now, with that said, I'm not on the Eagles bandwagon. I think Nick Sirianni is a douchebag. I have come to I can't stand him. I know you like him, and I apologize. I am completely on the Chiefs bandwagon at this point, but I do have to give credit where credit is due. The Eagles offense is just ridiculous, just absolutely ridiculous. And to put up those kind of points on, as we talked about last week, what may be one of the best defenses in the history of the NFL, just kind of solidified. I'm not sure the Chiefs can handle the Eagles next week. I'm just not.
That's how I feel too. Like the Eagles, for everything that happened, like everybody's saying the Eagles have the easiest road to the Super Bowl. And that's fair. Like you get the bye week and then you get the Giants. The Giants were playing really well at that point, and the Eagles dominated them. There's something to be said for that. And then the 49ers, obviously, Brock Purdy going down, not what you envisioned going into that game. And that changes everything. It's actually come out right before we started recording this that Brock Purdy has a torn UCL and is going to be out 6 months. He's seeking a second opinion to see if he'll really need surgery, but torn UCL, like that's a very serious injury, especially for somebody that makes his living throwing a ball. So, hopefully he gets back fine. But even still, like in that game before Brock Purdy went out, like the Eagles were dominating. Hassan Reddick was making it his game up to that point, and they're just so good. Like we had talked about last week, how this is a team that had 70 sacks, an NFL record, 70 sacks as a team. 4 people on that team had double digits in sacks. Hassan Reddick having a career year. Like they're just so good, and I can't wait to watch that game because we're talking. I mean, for as good as the Eagles are, the Chiefs have Patrick Mahomes.
Right. And Travis Kelce.
And Travis Kelce, who was a game-time decision, a surprise game-time decision in that game, and Mahomes wasn't able to move the way he normally is, and it just doesn't matter because they're who they are. Andy Reid is who he is. Like, it's going to be one of the most incredible I feel like one of the most incredible Super Bowls I've ever seen, coming off of one of the most incredible games against the Bengals that I've ever seen, even though all the drama that came out of that game and for the right reasons. But what we have coming up in a couple of weeks for a Super Bowl is all we could ever hope for, having the 1 seed against the 1 seed.
Yeah, it may be 60-60. I mean, and we're kicking a field goal in triple overtime. I mean, it's there's so much going on in this game. It's ridiculous. Well, there's something else I want to address about the 49ers game. Purdy goes down, right? And I don't play in the NFL. I never have. I never even got close. All right. I don't pretend to be something I'm not. But if I was a quarterback in the NFL, especially with the 49ers, with what's happened, you call on me to come in like they did Josh Johnson last night, dude, and I drop the fucking football, I'm either breaking a bone or getting a penalty, getting the fucking thing back. That was the most lackadaisical fumble recovery I've ever seen in my entire life. And if you're in week 4 of the season, I probably don't even notice. But when I've seen guys like John Elway get up in the air and get helicoptered going across the goal line because they want a Super Bowl ring more than anything, I just expect you to reach a little bit harder to recover the damn thing. And that's unacceptable, in my opinion. It's incredibly unacceptable.
And not only did he drop it and not recover it, like initially he knew that it dropped. and he fell on it. Like he could have had it by himself, and somehow, some way, when he falls on it, like it pops out from underneath him anyways, and then
And then he
the
just kind of
Eagles get it.
half-heartedly reached for it instead. I mean, I would have scrambled. I would put my head up somebody's ass scrambling into that to get that ball back. I just the lack of effort, and for all the coaching I did, the one thing that I couldn't stand, I would take somebody that would hustle and bust their ass every time over somebody with talent that was lazy. And I'm not calling Josh Johnson lazy. I don't know him. I all I've seen was that, right? I don't know that maybe he didn't realize. Maybe he thought somebody else had. I don't know. I need to give him some benefit of the doubt. Just from the angle that I saw, I was so pissed off, man. I was on a coach's rant. It just really rubbed me the wrong way. I expected more than that. And on the same train of thought, there is no reason in God's creation that you should get a late hit penalty out of bounds at the end of the AFC Championship on a game that you're getting ready to go into overtime. There's no excuse. And aside, he's just going to they're dragging him through the mud. It's going to continue, and it may continue. And he may have to leave Cincinnati. I mean, I don't know where this is going to go. It may die, but this is the kind of stuff that fans like never forget. You know, I just don't understand it. I don't understand it at all. And I know I'm not the only one. I'm kind of beating a dead horse here, but I can't stand it when officiating dictates a game. And this wasn't on the officials. I mean, that was a call that should have been made. There's no doubt about it should have been made. I can't stand it when officiating dictates the outcome of a game. That's exactly what happened because Asai let it happen. How do you think this is going to go down in Cincinnati? Do you think that he can recover from this in the locker room and with the fans? Do you think they'll forget about it? Or do you think this is something that'll remember the guy that caught the foul ball that prevented the Cubs from going to the World Series? Dude, he had to leave Chicago. I mean, fans don't forget this kind of stuff. What do you think?
So that's a tough situation. Obviously, he's a young guy, second year out of Texas. In his rookie year, in the second preseason game, he had torn his meniscus, so he missed his entire rookie season. This was basically his rookie year. So, and he was very good. Like he was a very good player for that Bengals defense this year. So I think he'll be able to bounce back. I don't think it's going to be forgotten by anybody that happened because look, of all the calls in that game that the officials got right, that's one of the only ones. The rest of that game was officiated terribly up to that point, but the one they got right is the one that lost them the game. And not that it's not the reason they lost. Yes, they lost the game because that penalty happened and Kansas City was able to kick the field goal. He could have just as easily missed that field goal and they went to overtime and the Bengals won. The fact of the matter is that for everybody that wants to blame the kid, the Bengals had plenty of opportunity in that first half, especially. There was plenty of opportunity to make the plays and to get things done. So it just like it doesn't come down to one play. That's what anybody that knows him is going to be telling him all offseason. Dude, it doesn't come down to one play. That was a mistake. You're a young dude. You're going to have to get past it. We have a great team. We're going to need you in the future. And so I think overall things will be fine. But right now, like we saw last night, him crying on the sideline, like, that's going to be hard to get past. Like there was a good chance that game goes to overtime if that doesn't happen.
Without a doubt. Everybody knows that. I mean, that's exactly where it was headed. It was a 60-yard field goal. I mean, and so there's a chance it didn't, but the odds were in favor that that's where we were going. And everybody, I don't mean to cut you off, but I think everybody understands that the Bengals were the second half were moving the ball better than the Chiefs, and that game goes to the overtime. The odds are in favor of the Bengals winning. I mean, that this is huge. This isn't just, I mean, and the Chiefs could have won the toss. I don't know what do the standard overtime, the new overtime rules apply the same, that if the Chiefs would have won the toss and scored a touchdown, then the game would have been over?
No, so because of the Bills-Chiefs game last year and with everything that happened in that overtime, the new rules started this year that in the playoffs, each team, no matter what happens the first possession, each team gets a chance to possess the ball.
Okay. I didn't know that. I should have known that. I didn't know that. But the overtime would have favored the Bengals for sure. So And everything you said about the teammates and the coaching staff makes sense, but the fans, are the fans going to forget? I guess it depends on how well he does, right? I mean, he comes out next year and he has an All-Pro year, and they're right back here, and they're in the playoffs, they're doing great. Maybe they'll forget. Maybe time will heal all. But it was one of the biggest mistakes I've seen. It's right up there with Chris Webber calling a timeout in the '90s. I mean, it's right up there. It'll live in infamy, really. And it's too bad for such a young kid to have to endure that. But I guess it's part of it.
Yeah, and I guess lucky for him, like from the fan point of view, like luckily for him, even though that was a giant mistake, like all the stuff that happened in the game before that, like in most of all, the third down that they got to replay, and then they ended up getting a penalty that made it a first down. Like, and overall, Kansas City ends up punting on that drive anyways. So how much does it really matter in the grand scheme of things? But what everybody's talking about from that game, like on Twitter after that game, NFL hashtag NFL rigged was trending on Twitter all night long, and so there's a bigger conversation coming out of that game. So people, this is going to be the Joseph Osai hit out of bounds. People are, especially if the Chiefs lose the Super Bowl, people are going to forget about that pretty quickly and just be talking about all the officiating that happened in that game. So from that side of it, I think the fans will get over this fairly quickly.
Yeah. Okay. Good enough. Fair point. I do want to say that I'm not a big Kevon Wallace fan, and I loved Trent Williams doing the bam bam body slam and just set him down like a child that was throwing a temper tantrum at the grocery store.
Dude, and it was like I wasn't really even paying attention anymore. I thought they were breaking the scrum up. But as soon as I caught somebody getting ragdolled like that, I didn't even have to see that it was Trent Williams doing it. It was like the only person on the field right now that's going to do that to somebody is Trent Williams.